So when I began the sermon, I said, you know what? Hold God's hand every day. And don't let the distractions and worries of this world dim that connection. Now, as I just said to you, I know all of you, or at least to some degree, have a to-do list, whether it's going to the grocery store, whether it's going to be what you're going to do in the house, whether it's going to be whether you're running to Home Depot, whatever it is. The problem is sometimes if we lose it, fall short, or skip it, the worries come in and starts to invade our peace. Or sometimes I think many of us have those days where the distractions do take away from really knowing Jesus a little bit better. And how many of us have had really good intentions, but they slip into the abyss of time? So our devotions go away, our prayers go away, our Bible study goes away, listening to a friend or listening to a partner. You know, when I was the senior pastor at Salem, we had our yearly open house, now around Christmas time. There we had over 60-some people come. Staff and council was a little bit bigger than you. And at first we tried to handle it ourselves. Impossible. Of which my wife reminded me all the time. This is impossible. So we found a catering service, some people we knew, so that when it came time for the people to show up, by the way, church people and open house don't go together. It was supposed to be from 6 to 9. They stayed from 6 till 10. Anyway, so Jesus comes with his disciples, and Mary and Martha invited them to dinner. Poor planning, for it says Martha, Martha, with her many tasks, was distracted. So she pleads with Jesus, which is kind of interesting, your guest, for Mary to help. And that's when Jesus says, Martha, you're worried, distracted. There's only one thing really needful. Now, understand clearly, this doesn't mean you should not be really ready for your guest, Jesus. But sometimes there is time to stand still, which is what my title was. Just don't do something, stand there. Normally you would say what?
Don't just stand there and do something.
Sit down. Listen. And I know there are some people that can't possibly sit down, even if they're ready. They're going to keep going and going and going. They'll find something. But what's missed is the matters of the heart. And like I said to you earlier with the children, how often I've plowed into my work before my devotions. Oh, I've got so much to do. But would it have really dismantled my day? No. Or somebody comes to talk that you didn't expect. And you become antsy because, oh, there's this list waiting. Let's hurry up, hurry up. No. We let our hearts be troubled because we don't figure out Jesus is present. He resides in you and the other people. John 14, which I oftentimes use at funerals, says, do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in me, believe also in the one who sent me. That's not just for funerals. Don't let your hearts be troubled always. In fact, at the beginning of the bulletin, I printed some of the other verses. Matthew 6:5 says, don't worry about your life, what you'll eat or what you'll drink. You're of more value. When I was growing up, my mother always used to say, Steve, get your priorities straight. Problem is, we believe it has something completely to do with us. So we get worried and we get distracted, and I take blood pressure pills and all sorts of things like that. Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Don't rely on your own insight. My favorite part. Don't rely on your own insight. Sometimes our opinions close off any greater understanding. That's why Jesus said there's only really one thing needful. Now, was it to convince Mary to help? I think we missed it. It starts out together as hospitality. I was thinking about the story that Lily read from the Old Testament, Sarah and Abraham. And 3 of these men, I don't know if they're angels or the Lord or whatever, they came. So Abraham runs out, and of course, what's he do? He says, Sarah, get it together. Although he did go get the calf, at least a little. But then, here's the part that they didn't understand. He said, one of the 3 of them said, when we return, your wife will have a son. Well, Sarah laughed because she's too old. Too many other things are going on. So sometimes I think you and I miss the impossible, which might be possible, even in our worries and distractions of this life. That's why then Jeremiah says, blessed are those whose trust is in the Lord. They'll be like that tree planted by the water whose roots go down, and you can't be dissuaded. Now notice that Jesus does not critique Martha's work, but her worry. Distracted. In the Greek, perispato. I know you're going to use that every day. If you interpret it, it denotes being jerked around in different directions. That's what it actually literally means. So rather than a rebuke, maybe it was more of an invitation to Martha. Jesus does care. In our culture of hectic schedules and relentless pursuit of productivity, we're tempted to measure our worth by how busy we are, by how much we accomplish, or how well we meet the expectations of others. My eldest daughter, Stacy, writes books. She's been doing that for a long time. And what she has to do when the book is going to be 300 to 400 pages long, she panics. Pressure, expectations. How far do I have to get before my editor calls me again and says, have you finished it? Well, she had somebody make a spreadsheet for her. So many words every day. So when she attained this worrisome goal, she could relax. She should not give up writing, but the paradox is the problem of attaining even amid distractions of what is needful. When I first came here, I found it interesting that our circle is what? It reminded me we're not always Marys, we're not always Marthas. Sometimes we're both, and we need both. Jesus invites both to listen, because we all need to hear the message of trusting God. I've been in 5 churches. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah. She says, oh Lord, 5 churches. Well, we had a church where we had a visiting speaker, and should we have a reception afterwards, somebody asked. Sure, I said, but nothing special. Well, the speaker spoke. We made our way to the fellowship hall for the reception. Wonderful, with all sorts of homemade goodies. And I said out loud, well, wasn't the speaker wonderful? I wouldn't know, said the lady. I was in the kitchen. We couldn't exist without our Marthas, but we also need to be aware of how to balance all of that, to charge up our spiritual batteries, because if we're always Marthas, always busy, always bustling, we also need then to sit and to listen and to learn. And we need to recharge our hearts. Sustenance gives us energy and commitment to go back then into the world of things we need to do. Psalm 46, we read for Sharon's funeral. God is a refuge and strength. That was her refuge and strength. But then verse 10 says, be still and know that I'm God. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. You know, I think about this often when Jesus was tempted in the wilderness by Satan. What was the first temptation?
Food.
And it was to do what to what? Turn the stones into bread. I guess it would have been simple. I don't know. What did Jesus say? He said, we do not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from God. The balance. In our world where we're too often tied to our emails, our cell phones, our texting, our iPads and the like, maybe today's a good message to hear. There are times when we need to stop and look and listen to how God is speaking to us. Maybe we'll listen in our prayers, our walk with a friend, or time to switch to get away from the day-to-day distractions. So, don't just do something. Stand there. Amen.